Hey, I'm Monashee from Monashee.org. I help photographers with portfolio creation, marketing, and production. Today I'm going to be talking about what to do when people use your images on Instagram. This is also helpful for people who aren't photographers and are wondering if you can use images on Instagram or not. I will preface by saying I am not a lawyer, so this is not legal advice. If you have any questions, you should go talk to a lawyer to find out more about copyright law. But today I am going to tell you what I know and what I understand, and hopefully that will help you. So who doesn't love Instagram? We all love Instagram. We all love using Instagram, and we want to create beautiful feeds, make us want to crush on somebody else's life. The thing is that a lot of the time, it's not somebody else's life we're crushing on. It's a made-up life made out of other people's images and other people's life. Keep in mind that a lot of social influencer accounts are not even their images. They don't own the copyright to those images. The copyright stays with the photographer, not with the person whose account it is. They have the rights to use those images for their own brand, even the ones of themselves. The photographer owns the copyright to those. So just keep in mind that when you're grabbing pictures from somebody's profile, it might not even be their pictures to grab. So always good to ask so that you're covering your butt and so that you're also just being kind of cool and ethical about the whole thing. I know you know this because you're a photographer and you've worked really hard to build up your business and use your talent to create these beautiful images. The task now is to kindly explain this to non-photographers in a way that they understand what copyright is and that is non-confrontational, because let's be real, we're all in this together, and when you just explain things in a nice way, people will understand and listen. Instagram's community guidelines explicitly state,
share only photos and videos that you've taken or have the rights to share. As always, you own the content you post on Instagram. Remember to post authentic content and don't post anything you've copied or collected from the internet that you don't have the right to post.
Okay, the thing is, not everybody knows this to be true, especially with the introduction of repost apps that are coming out now that make it seem like it's legit, that make it seem like it's okay to share other people's content. Pinterest and Instagram are kind of set up that way, where it's like sharing, and that's cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, and the repost thing is a cool feature. However, people have taken it to the other degree where they're not even crediting, they're just screen grabbing, because there is this kind of feeling that it's okay to do. It's okay to use other people's content because everybody's doing it and because there's even apps being created. But we all know that there are apps that are created that break Instagram rules or break other rules and that are used to do things that are really actually not okay. So just because there's an app, it doesn't mean that it's okay to do it. Most people don't know that reposting an image without asking the photographer for permission is actually not okay. So let's tell them in a nice way. What do you do if you find out if your images are being used without your permission? Be kind. Most people don't know that they're doing anything wrong, and so you just have to kindly explain it to them. They will usually be more than happy to very quickly rectify the situation. So just be cool, be kind, email the user directly, and ask them to kindly credit your work and kindly ask them that next time they ask you permission before they use the image. For people who are not photographers, my best advice to you is ask, because chances are it's okay and they'll let you use it with credit, but sometimes it's not, and you just kind of have to move on. If you email somebody and ask them to use their image and they don't reply, that's a no. So don't use the image. B, ask them to kindly remove the image as they didn't ask for permission to use it before they did. C, tell them that you are so flattered and pleased that they loved your images and you would be happy to send them an invoice for the usage of the image. You know, you don't want that to sound condescending, but at the same time, there is a cost associated with images. So you can, if that's what your goal is, if you want to get monetary compensation, chances are you won't, but you can let people know that there is a dollar value attached to it. D, you can tell them that you are flattered that they loved your work and you would be happy to set up a consult, as many social influencers or brands or companies have hired you to do photo shoots for their brand so that they could really show off what their brand is all about. And you'd be happy to set up a consult to do that just for them. Again, this might not lead to anything, but at least you're explaining that other people pay for what they're just taking. And so it kind of is a way to explain like other brands are paying you, and it's not really fair to those other brands who are paying you if somebody else is taking and using the images that for their, social feed and everything that other people are paying for. So as a photographer, it's a good idea to also think about that, because you do have people that are paying for your services, and they might be like, hey, I don't want to pay you. I'll just grab images from your feed too if other people can do it. If they have a product or service that you love and that you're excited about, then ask them if they want to do a trade. They can use your image or images in exchange for their product or service. Just make sure you understand the value of your images and the value of their products or services, so you do a fair dollar for dollar trade. And then finally, if they refuse to remove the image and you're not happy about the situation and they haven't provided credit, then report them to Instagram for copyright infringement, because you have to put a stop to it, and you might have to go through a few hoops to do that. You sometimes have to prove that it's your image, but you have the raw files, you have the originals, so that's pretty quickly proof that it's yours. Obviously, we don't want it to get to this point. We don't want it to get to the point where we're having to report them, because that really isn't very nice to somebody else's account, unless they're doing something that is totally unethical, which it would be if they're not respecting the fact that you ask them to remove your image. The value of photo credit. As a photographer, you get credit even when you're paid. So when somebody says to you, I'm going to give you credit in exchange for using the image, credit isn't currency. Credit doesn't actually go as far as people think it does, unless it's a shout out. Like if somebody does a shout out and they have like an image and they're talking about you as a photographer, what it's like to work with you, they're doing like a testimonial on their feed, that's valuable. Or if they are going to refer you to their community, their network, and their group of people, then that's also valuable, because that's more work for you. So that can be used, but not so much like if somebody says, I'm going to give you credit for your work and then I'm not going to pay you for it. That's not really a fair trade. Other photographers and yourself are losing in your business, because basically if people can get it for free, they're not going to pay for it. Educate people on what you do and why your costs are the way they are. You use expensive equipment, you've paid for education, you have insurance costs that other businesses don't have, you have to pay for permits, you have to pay for all of these things. Your business expenses are high. So if you're not getting paid, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. If people are taking your images and using them without paying you for them, then you don't have a business and you can't survive as a business. Intellectual property is a complicated and confusing thing, especially when we live in an age of social sharing where information is just flying around so quickly and it's really hard to control. The thing is, you have something that everybody wants. Everybody wants beautiful, artistic, cool things in their feeds and in their businesses, because they want that to represent their business. You have something that people value, and you need to educate people on what the value of that is. Okay, I have given you my all as far as people using images on Instagram without your permission. If you're not knowing how to properly ask for what you're worth, I have a free estimating template that you can go ahead and download and use when you're quoting on commercial jobs. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and definitely subscribe if you want to learn more about commercial photography. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. What is the word? What is the word? What's the word? This is killing me. Not creative property. Something property. I know it's got property in it. Property keeps coming into my head, but it's not creative property. Artistic property? No. How do I forget that? Intellectual property.